I want to do a personal thanks to, there's a couple of folks on here. Terry's on here. Let's see who else was with me a couple weeks ago. Don Lee. I don't know if Ed was there. A couple of folks here that we took down some antennas a couple of weeks ago, and I want to thank you folks for helping out and coming out. And it was a good time. We managed to get a couple of very tall antennas down in a matter of a couple hours. So the Silent Key family member, Whitterer, was really happy and impressed with the club. She'll be sending us a thank you card and things like that. So, and I'm going to approach the board with a proposition and see how it goes before about maybe doing this more often and see what it would take to do that if we do it. So with that said, I've got nothing else. Does any board members have anything that they would like to mention or talk about at this meeting? If so, let me know, and you can unmute yourself if you'd like.
Can you hearing me now, Chuck?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, I've been, for whatever reason, the audio hasn't been working. So the only thing I want to put is we're having some repeater difficulties. I picked up a router today. I was able to reflash it. I'll take it back tomorrow. The replacement hasn't gotten here yet. So you'll probably notice the repeaters are not linked. There's no courtesy phone on them, but they're all working individually. So I'll at least try to get the old router back tomorrow, and we'll see if it works. If not, I'll have to go back a bit later on. I was able to get the microwave changed. It seems to be a lot more stable when the repeater is up and the voter is things on Lee Hill. So hopefully I'll get all of that back tomorrow when I take the pieces back. That's all I got.
Okay. So just to verify, the repeaters are currently unlinked.
They're unlinked and there's no tail.
Okay.
It's in what's called offline mode, and it's a pretty dumb controller. It will ID and keep us legal, and that's about it. So, but like I said, I picked up the router tonight. It was running out of time. Our access requirements have changed with a lot of the stuff in Boulder County.
Okay. Well, thank you for the update, Mark. Does that also include Echolinks down as well then?
Yes.
Okay. I just want to, some people do use Echolinks, so I just want to verify it. Okay. Thank you very much.
I'll try to get it up before the net tomorrow.
All right. Well, if you do, you do. If not, let Jerry know or myself, and we can let everybody know that to join either UHF or VHF, whichever one Jerry chooses, for the not this tomorrow evening, and we'll just do it over one repeater. We'll have no choice at that point. Does any other board member have anything they'd like to bring up?
This is Steve.
Go ahead, Steve.
We will have a door prize drawing after the meeting's over. We'll do a random selection. And at this point, there's 2 or 3 different prizes, depending on who wins and what they would choose. But we'll have one winner tonight, and it'll be in the June splatter, who that person is. That's all.
All right, thank you. And Doug is not on, but we will have another meeting before this happens. We talked last general meeting, and I'll be talking on the nets as well, that as far as field day goes in June, there's really not going to be one. So what we're planning on doing is, if you want to participate in field day and do it as an individual for points for the ARL, you're more than welcome to, but as a club, we're not going to do it per se, but we will hold a WebEx session like we're doing now on field day. So you can see what people are doing and things like that, and communicate with people locally, like if we were socializing at the clubhouse there at the park. So we're still going to do something as a club. We're still kind of deciding. We're going to have maybe some internal competitions and things like that, but we will meet again before that actually happens in June. So stand by, keep an eye on the website, emails for more information on that as well. I did see an email from Doug as well. It looks like the Boulder Fair apparently is going on and they're doing the parade from what I read. So look out for Doug's emails, maybe looking for volunteers to help with the parade this year, like years past as well. Any other questions, comments, or concerns from the board? All right.
This is Phil, WE7A. I had a thought.
Yes, sir.
that might benefit the club. And this is just a wild thought. What if, when we're still alive, we put money into a pot commensurate with our antenna farm and leave our spouses or whomever with a note, and at such time that we become a silent key, they know to turn to the club, and we've already made a donation that the club members will come and take antennas down. Just a thought.
Yeah, we're discussing that. That's something I'm gonna bring up at the next board level. There's all kinds of other things that I want to make sure we cover, and there's, you know, like anything, there's liabilities and everything else when you do stuff like that and working with other people. So I just got to get that. Worst case scenario, the club may not sponsor it, and we can do that as individuals. But you know, we'll see how things go, and I'll have more information coming up for you, Phil.
Thanks.
But thank you. All right, anybody got anything else? Again, I want to thank everybody for joining us this evening. It looks like we got a couple more people there, Pat. So I will make a copy of everybody who joined. I think I can copy participants list and send it to you in case you miss anybody. But other than that, I am going to put myself on mute. And KE0EE, Don, the floor is yours, sir.
All right, thank you. Now I am going to change in a little bit, and so you may have to change the presenter to my other screen. So we'll see. So the FT8 digital mode is a weak signal application for amateur radio, which allows the exchange of basic contact information in as little as 15 seconds. Not quite as fast as single sideband or FM, but you have an exchange that you're able to be highly sure that the information is correct. So who started it? Well, Joe Taylor, K1JT, is a professor of astronomy at Princeton University. I don't think he's actually teaching classes anymore, but he's been an avid amateur radio operator from his early teens. And during his astronomy work, the necessity of observing minuscule signals required the development of impressive software. And this work enabled the facility to develop an enhanced mode of signal exchange, such as utilizing high-speed data exchange from meteor scatter and moon bounce. And he was interested in moon bounce, and so he developed a series of applications, including the FSK 144, JT6M, JT65, which I used before the FT8, and JT9. The programs became WSJT for weak signals Joe Taylor. And these programs were designed to accommodate signals over a minute or longer, allowing for signals to be received at 27 below the receiver noise levels. It's done by limiting the starting time and the actual codes that can be sent with the specific sequence of codes, by allowing for higher levels of signals to be encoded faster than the FT8 was developed. So what kind of equipment do we need? Well, we need a transceiver for the band, a high-quality sound card to convert the received audio signal to digital, and a computer. For my HF work, I have a Yaesu FT-DX1200, a Signal Link USB sound card, and a not-so-speedy IBM laptop. The USB goes to the computer USB port, and the signal in to the Signal Link is from the audio I/O. Some radios have a single connector for that, but for instance, the FT-GX757 that Mark N7PUR uses has separate RCA connectors. The other handy line is a frequency out of the radio into the computer. So how do we set up the equipment? Well, you download the WSJT-X software from the WSJT website. The link will be available on our website after I'm done and Jerry puts it up. If you search for it on Google or other places, they try to include other stuff with it. There is a section in his site for user manual and then the actual software. When you run the software, there'll be two screens, and I'm going to switch to my other system at this time.
Are you logged in the same ID or you just?
It should come up, I believe.
Okay. Well, either way, I have to change it to a presenter if we're going to see the screen. So
I have to go to,
either way, you're a presenter now. Don, I wasn't sure if you were in two IDs or just single ID on the call. So are you in his ham radio as well, Don?
what's that?
Are you in his ham radio as well?
On the radio.
Ham radio as a sign-in name?
I'm going to switch to my my screen.
Okay.
I figure out how to do it.
And then there was a quick question. It says software is only for PC Windows, or can we use Mac iOS as well?
View. There we go. View.
You might need to click on share, not view. And then under there is share content.
I gotta get to my share. There's share. My meeting window.
There you are.
And then I'm going to do this.
So you actually have two logins. One's ham radio and one's your name. So that's why I was asking. There you go. Now we're seeing your screen.
I want to see both of them. Gotta look at.
We're seeing the waterfall. Or was. Of course, I saw myself on there. I look pretty goofy here from a over video.
Yeah,
I think you're looking good, Chuck.
Thank you very much.
to view both of them, I have to click the right place. You see both of them? Oh.
Right now we're seeing just a blank screen with a cursor.
Right. Yeah. So let's see. Did I get this both of them? No.
You see both of them, we don't.
All right. Show my screen.
Okay, you sharing your screen. Well, you were sharing your screen just now.
Yeah. Sharing your meter window.
So now we see you through the WebEx session. If you have them both on one screen, you should be able to go to share and then choose what you want to share. You go to share, and the drop-down arrow, it should ask you if you want to share your desktop or if you want to share an application. At the very top, it scrolls down. But that works too. There you go.
There we are.
There we are.
Okay. Now let me continue. So the software is on two screens. The top screen is shows your signal strength. Let me move this a little bit so we can see that. So this line down here is the signal strength of all those signals across the run. And then, of course, you have the waterfall that shows those signal levels in either darker, the yellow is a stronger signal, or you get down to where it's like this is just the background. I wanted to show you how to set up this. So you go to File and Settings, and so here on the general, you put in your call and your grid, and these other selections don't make a lot of difference. You can try different things if you want. Call CQ forces a call first. That's if somebody calls you, that will allow you to pick the first one that actually contacts you. And the double click on call sets the TX enable, so that if you click on a signal, that will start it. And then if you go to your radio, you can actually put your rig in there if you want to. If I put my rig in there, then things don't work quite right. So I use Omni Rig, and that works for me real well. But you can define your radio and see if it works. And then for the audio, you want to use the USB audio codec for both of these, for the microphone and the speakers. I think the directories are default. You actually take a look and see if they're not. I haven't used the TX macros. I haven't found that they're necessary, but it's probably something I should try to look at and see if they'd be useful to me. The frequencies, you can see what frequencies are available for each one of the bands you want to use. And of course, always pick the FT8 for the bands you want to use, like that. And start with those. Now, let's see, colors, you can change the colors of various things. And I, for the most part, use the default. And if you're in a ARRL field day, then you can use this, check the special operating activity and check for one of these contests, either ARR field day or one of the other contests. It changes the way it's the recording is done. Okay, so let's let's see about making a contact. So I generate the standard messages, which is the 1, and so this is a Canadian station, so I'll click on him. And so you notice that my enable transmit goes. That's part of this auto sequence that's over here. If I click on him, then it automatically starts transmitting. And we're on 20 meters, and I'm on 100 watts. So that's my call to him, right there. And this shows the sequence that will happen if he responds to me. Now up here at the top, you can see where he is. He's at 2504. Well, notice that there's other stations there. Now he did respond to me, so he came back at +0, and I'm at -2. Notice that my standard messages have already started going down. Now at this point, sometimes because there's the interfering stations, we may not get a good contact right away. But we'll see what happens. Notice that, okay, so that went fine. But notice K2RAS, guess who, actually wants to contact me too. So I'm going to double click on him. And let's see if he can contact. Thanks, Ron. Now, so there my Canadian station came back and did 73. There was my 73. So our contact is done for him.
Okay, I'm responding.
What's that, Ron?
I'm responding.
Yeah. Okay. Notice that we're at -4 to Ron, and that's because he's so close. All right, so Ron came up, and we're made a contact with Ron. I said okay, and Ron said, I said RR73. Now you can do either RR73, or if you double click on this, you can do RR and then 73. I usually do RR73. It's a lot faster and means the same thing. So you probably didn't notice exactly what it did. When I double clicked on this TX4. All right, so we did a 73, so we're good to go. Ready to make this next contact. All right, so we've made 2 contacts, and we've actually recorded those. I want to show you the folder where they are. Let's see if it comes up. Yeah, okay. So this is the folder where all of that information is recorded. See this all.txt? All.txt is a record of all of our information that's come over my radio. So I'm going to, just to show you what it is, I'm going to open it with Notepad. And so this is the time, date and time. So this is 2020, 0427, 427, at 27th of April, and at 4:13. And that's an FT8. And these are the 2 people that were making a contact. And so this is all of the people, all of the contacts that my radio saw. Now, if we look at Control F, and if I look at KE0EE, and find next, find me. Let's see, KE0E space maybe. I don't know why it does that. Oh, let's try down. All right, so here's K3NT. I was trying to contact him, and if I go down, there I did a contact with him. He came back with a +6, and I gave him a +2. So all of your contacts are in this this file. So if you ever have a question about whether or not you actually made a contact, you can go to this all.txt. Now notice that it's 62,000 kilobytes. All right. So every once in a while I will rename it. So you can see that I have a number here of different sizes of all.txt, because if it gets too big, then it's real tough to find them, because well, the software, if you get too big, they won't even load. Okay. Oh, I was going to show you the other thing you see down here. is the WSJT underscore log.ADI. That's the file that would actually be sent to ARRL. If you double click it like this, and then it wants to know if a release is available, I'll cancel for now. But now I can actually send my log up. I think I've got most of it already sent up, but so these are ones that have already been sent. It's going to take a little bit because I'm going to do a cancel. But anyway, that's it, how that works. That's where that file resides. All right.
Don, really quick,
Yeah.
that's the logbook of the world, right?
That's right.
Okay.
Logbook of the world. Okay, so let's see what else. So these buttons here you can use for various things. You can actually tune to put your transmitter in as just to put in a signal, a CW signal to adjust your radio if you want. Enable text. If I did enable text right now, I'm going to do a CQ. Now to get a CQ, I want a clear space. I'm going to go over here and I want to put this go up, so I got it receive and transmit on the same frequency. Well, look at that. Somebody started using that one. So I'll go over here and do the same thing. All right, now I'm going to transmit. So I'm going to do a enable TX. So now you can see that I'm doing a CQ. And this down here shows the amount of time remaining for this particular part of it. So it's 15 seconds. So now I'm receiving for 15 seconds. I didn't transmit very long. So I'm going to transmit again for 15 seconds. Notice it over here, transmit CQ KE0EDN70. So that's going out on the air. We'll see if somebody comes back. We're not going to go there very long, but I think if, oh, looks like somebody's coming back. Notice up here at the top where my red thing is, somebody is responding. Let's see who it is. Now notice he didn't transmit for the whole time. So now we're going to transmit CQ again and give him another shot at it. He started a little late. All right, now he started at the full time. We'll see who it is. All right, it's N9CDX. Notice that I've already said, I already transmitted to him that I got him at plus 11. And notice it real bright is yellow. That's plus 11. Now we're receiving him again. All right, he came back with R plus 10, received plus 10, and I sent a RR73. And so now I brought up my my log. So I'm going to say okay to my log. And then we're going to wait. Right now he's transmitting his 73. Now, how do I know that? Well, that's the sequence. There he is. All right. Now, well, guess what? Somebody else wants to talk to us. All right, so we'll double click on WA70EM. Now he's at 1432. So I'm going to go over here and I'm going to change my transmit frequency to 1432. Now I missed it for a little bit, so let's see what happens. He changed frequency yet again to 1297. So I'm gonna change that to 1297 after I'm done receiving him. And I have a little space between. Now I'll do it now. All right, it says that I received it -6. So I say, okay, I've got that. And so now my log is complete. And then he's going to come back and say 73. Somewhere we have to quit this. I'm going to do some other things. All right, there's his 73. Now, we're going to wait there. We're going to see what it is on that frequency. All right, so now 2 other people are using that same frequency, well, 92 instead of 97. Notice that those are not very, those are only 5 hertz different. 5 hertz different. Remember, the whole width of the signal is 50 hertz. So you can see that each one of these is about 50 hertz wide. Now, when you set up your receiver, you want it to be very wide, because you're going to have a 3 kilohertz worth of signal that you want to be able to capture. Let's see, what else do I want to see about this part? Okay, now I want to show you some interesting parts here. So what I'm bringing up is how to shut JT alert. The JT alert, I need to push this up a little bit. JT alert. I'll read my script here. I recommend you download the JT Alert software. Now this makes it even more fun. JT Alert was created by a young lady in Canada named Lori, VK3AMA. It's a really, really nice piece of software. So you can go to hamapps.com and download the JT Alert latest version. I think the only thing you need to do is to use it initially. There are some things that will help you as you progress. I use a standard log, but Jerry Schmidt, N0OUW, uses a different logging system. And there's a lot to this program, and I will not try to explain all of it, but I want to show you some of the things. So you notice that down here at the bottom, there's 2 USA stations and 2 Canada stations. I could click on them when they're down there, and it would start trying to communicate with them. Also notice what has changed up here. Now those same stations have changed to a dark color, so that because KA7ICF below here I've already talked to, but N200 I haven't. And so that becomes a real nice feature. Notice that KJ7IAZ in Montana is in blue. That means not only is it somebody I haven't talked to, but it's somebody I want to talk to, because I haven't got that that grid zone. Let's see. Now I don't know if I can turn the sound on. Let's see. See if you can hear it. There's this has a sound system so that you can turn the sound on, so that when you get one of those that you really want to talk to, it tells you about it. Under settings, there's a whole slew of things. wanted states, wanted DXs. If I go to wanted states, it's going to list all the states. All right, so I'm going to get rid of this. Okay, notice that all of these states are not checked. That's because I have all of them. In fact, I've got all of the U.S. in 20, 40, and 80. But let's go to 6. In 6 meters, I'm still missing a lot of stuff. Well, 6 meters is not open right now. So when 6 meters becomes open again, I'll pick up some more. All right, so and the logging, you want to find out where your logging is. This is the logging file, and so she uses that logging file to know what to record for you. What else I want to see? I wanted to look at one of grids. All right, so these are the grids that I don't need. Now, whereas on the states, they were checked or not checked. Well, there's a huge number of grids that I haven't that I have used, and there's a whole lot of grids that I haven't. I mean, that's a big long list. But these are the grids that I've actually contacted. You can do CQ zone or continent, DXCC. So here's all the countries that I have contacted. Notice that I've gotten 72 countries, but there's 268 that I can still do. There's all kinds of things in this program that she's put in that makes it a great tool for using your FT8. So at this point, let me take questions.
Hey, Don, this is Ron.
Yeah.
Just a comment. I use these same programs at my end, and I have this program set up with a direct patch to my logbook, which is in log4 OM. And this program, in my case, filters out all of the U.S. stations, which are 99 to 1, and only displays the international stations because that's what I'm interested in talking to. And from the logbook, it speaks to me those stations that I need that are international. So it completely removes all the US clutter that's out there, which again are the far majority of the stations, or whichever stations you don't want.
Right. Yeah, and I would like to, I'd probably, because I have, let's say, I'm getting to the point where most stations I've already talked to. So it would probably be helpful if I started eliminating U.S. stations and only picked up international stations. But I haven't done that yet. It's probably the next thing to do for me. And I appreciate that, Ron.
Hey, this is Danny, K9ES. Got a quick question for you. I have a friend in France, ham friend that used to live here in the States. I'd like to put his call sign as a filter so that that's really all I see. Or maybe a couple other stations. Is it possible to set it up so that you can only see those particular stations?
Yeah, see this, let's see, a wanted call. Let's see. Wanted call. Let's see, where is it? prefix. Ron, isn't there a wanted call? I thought there was.
I don't know of a wanted call specifically. There's a wanted prefix, obviously.
There's a thing down there that says call your station call sign, but I assume that's yours.
Yes.
Yeah, down there at the bottom. Might be able to set up his prefix, maybe. That's, it's fairly rare.
Yeah, that's easy. But I was thinking.
There's one that's called filters down there. Is that different under miscellaneous alerts? No, I'm going to filter it. I see what that's doing. That's pretty cool too, though.
Wanted call sign. There it is.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Cool. And then you somehow put it in.
And so what you can do is you can set that up. Let's see, where did I find that?
It's under, look under miscellaneous alerts. It actually is there.
Oh, okay. Wanted call sign. Okay. So you can set this up for your wanted call sign, and then you can actually make it so that you can get a color and let me move this thing. Sorry.
I wonder you don't get the text alert on your phone.
Wave file path. You can actually put in a ring so that it rings you, so that
Nice.
it would actually alert you to that call.
Okay, cool. That's great. That's exactly what I was looking for. Thank you. That's a neat program. I did not know that went with JS or WSJT. So.
All right. Anybody else have a question?
If you have a question, all you have to do is unmute yourself and go ahead and ask.
It's a lot of fun. And one of the things that nice about it is I can sit here doing other things on my computer. I have two computers, and so my ham radio is on one computer, and my normal communication is on a different computer. And sometimes I just let it run, not even paying attention to it. But then I look over to it. Oh yeah, I'd like to do that one. But yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Hey, Don, this is Chuck.
If you need help
KZTP.
setting it up, let me know. I'll be glad to come over and help you set it up.
I had a quick question on the ARL side. Are there special awards for contacts using FT8?
Oh yeah, it uses the same award level.
It's like the all 50, all grids, all continents, that type of thing.
Yeah, is Jerry on? Jerry?
Yes, Jerry's here.
REW. N0OUW. You there?
He's there.
Yeah, Jerry's here. Let me share my screen for a second.
So Jerry, do you want to show one of your awards that you got from FT8?
Yeah, I'll show it.
Let me make you a presenter there, Jerry. I got to make you a presenter. There you go.
I don't know if you can see it.
Worked all states.
Oh, cool. And that's on FT8?
FT8 for 20 meters. I submitted a request for 40 meters as well. So I got 20 and 40.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I'm still waiting for it. I had one state that I needed to get for a long time. So, okay, so
I'll make Don the presenter again. So
there you go.
oh, actually, it's Ham. Ham radio, I need to make the presenter. Wrong computer, sorry, Don.
There you go.
There's Don. And your other computer set back up as the presenter, Don.
Yeah, I don't know what happened.
You want to share the screen again? Well, it's because I made Jerry the presenter, so it kicked you off. So you just got to share your screen again like you did before.
All right, so one thing I didn't show was the sound. And you can, because FT8 uses the sound card, but you actually, they have figured out with JT Alert how to use both the sound card and the laptop sound, so you can get those alerts. Let's see what else can I do. There's just so many things. It's amazing. Oh, look, Barbados. Not where it went. Barbados. Now, so that's not too bad. Maybe I can get that one. Let's see. Now, it's not blue, so I probably contacted that one before, but still, if maybe one would not have confirmed, and so still maybe want to go and get it.
By the way, you're not sharing your ham radio screen. We just see you. So just so you know.
I'm sorry, what was that?
We see you. We're not seeing the screen. If you meant to share it, it's not sharing right now.
Oh, it's not there?
No, sir.
Okay. Well, I guess that's not necessary. I could actually shut that one down and maybe that's down now. So that's, we're not seeing it. All right, so I will turn my presentation back to you.
All right. Let's see. A couple people did have some questions. Looks like other people already answered them. There were about the one call that version 2.16.5 has a wanted call in it. Thank you, Derek, for answering that. So does anybody else have any other questions for Don as far as FT8? Does look exciting, or going to go out and try it now? So what does people think?
I'd ask a question, Danny, again, K9DS. Just been putting it in my ICOM 7300 that I just picked up and playing around with it a little bit. In the beginning, when this first came out, I saw an awful lot of controversy. You know, it was like anything. It's like my electric bike when I go riding down the road and the regular bikers scowl at me and tell me I'm cheating. Can you comment on, is that still going on with the FT8? People are upset because it's too easy? Any comments?
I didn't quite understand the question. What?
In the beginning of using FT8, there was a huge controversy over hams complaining about it, not wanting it to be able to use it for like worked all states, some of the contests, etc. And it looks like maybe with that software you just showed that that's all kind of gone to the wayside. That's not an issue anymore. I mean, it's a fairly legitimate way to communicate now, I assume.
Yeah,
At least
you know,
I think people were somewhat jealous.
Somebody wants to. There's a new way of doing something. Sometimes, especially like something like this, where it's fairly easy to use, and you can make lots of contacts. They'll say, "Oh, you're cheating." Oh, no, you're not. You're just doing something different. And then I wanted to see, how do I get my screen back where it was?
Actually, that's good to hear. Thanks for that. I'm glad to hear that. That's really good. So
yeah. Let's see. Let's here. Share. Okay. All right. Now, I want to show you one more thing. This is not FT8, but it's close. And this is called JT8. Find where I put it. Oh, I know. Nope. JT or 8 is a way of actually doing. Here we are. JS8 call. So one of the things about FT8 is it provides the ability to make contacts, but you can't actually transmit any information other than just the call and the location. So on uh, 20 meters. So JT8, JS8 is just above FT8. And most of us on 40 meters. So let's go to 40 meters and see what we see. 73, frequency, 40 meters. My frequency automatically changes when I go to change my radio. And let's see what we're doing. USB RTTY, I don't use that. I want to do USB upper sideband. There we go. And I found that just upper sideband is probably the best thing to use. Although I've seen that the RTTY can make some, do some advantages too. Now I changed that. Let's go up. I don't know if I see a signal, but maybe. I didn't see that JS8 was very active, but there we are.
I think it's more for just carrying on a conversation like we used to do with RTTY.
Well, so here's a station that came in. How can I move that thing? All right, so here's some the calls, and so -9, -14. There's a. All right, let's try CQ. Right there. So what I'm sending is a CQ, and we'll see if anybody responds. It takes like 15 seconds to do a CQ, but if you actually transmit some information, it blocks it out at 15-second increments, and so it takes a while to say anything. And I don't know if we'll ever contact anybody. We'll see. Like I say, I haven't tried it very much, but this is, if you want to do rag chewing, this is a mode that uses the equivalent of FT8 to do rag chewing.
On top of that, it's also kind of a still newer technology as well.
I'm receiving. Now, one thing I didn't tell you is that your time has to be fairly close. Now, I was only 0.1 seconds different. But so what I do to make sure my time is right is I go up here and I reset my time. And the way I do that is I go to time, and I turn off the automatic, and then I change the time by a few seconds, actually a couple of minutes. Change it, and then I go back to set time automatically, and then it resets the time where it's set by the internet time. Wow. Okay. Now, if I went over to FT8, let's see if I receive anything. Excuse me. I think I have to exit out of this so I can get. Yeah. Four. All right, we'll get some FT8 signals so we can see what the difference in time is now. All right, so we can see that up here at the top is the delta time. And it goes from 0 to, who knows, one is at 0.6. Nobody's even if you get closer to a second off, it shows a different color to warn you that you probably won't be able to contact that person. I don't know if you can actually measure how accurate your receiver is on frequency, measuring a frequency spectrum, reference spectrum. I haven't done that. And you can change it to various modes. I haven't been to JT65 in a long time, but you use the same program to do JT65 as well. But of course, it takes a minute on JT65 to make a contact, or to make one part of a contact, instead of 15 seconds in FT8. Any other questions?
Is Don WB for FAS? What's and I don't mean to sound antagonistic or anything. What's the point of FT8? I don't get it.
What is what?
What's the point of FT8? I don't see a practical application or anything like that. So I don't get it.
Is if you do any HF work, if you try to make contacts, they're very noisy right now, and they're because the propagation is, yeah.
Do you have trash?
I'm sorry, what's that?
Trash. Do you have trash? Trash.
Oh,
Do you
trash.
have? Tomorrow. Little.
So the strike time.
It's so hot here. Oh, hello.
And my daughter-in-law. Let's see. What was it? Oh, the point. The point is with FT8, you can make a large number of contacts. You can actually get awards for doing it if you want. And if you try to do the same kind of communication with single sideband, it's real tough right now. The propagation is terrible.
You know, his question is more, what's the practical uses? Weak signal communication. It's a very weak signal with 100% copyability. I mean, it's better than CW practice, almost. I mean, and you don't have to know CW to do it. It's very good for emergencies.
Oh.
Well, when you make a contact, you know that you actually contacted that person. If you made very many contacts in weak signals, single sideband, you have to repeat your call so many times that when you get all done, you wonder, I think, did I get that right? But yeah, so it's something to do in your spare time, and it's ham radio, and there's other things you can try. One thing I do is I do emails with HF. I tell you, that's hard to do too. I do more than Jerry does. Jerry tries to do it once in a while.
So Danny, thank you for that. So follow-on question on that. So from what I've seen from this, I don't see how emergency communications it seems all standard, right?
No, you wouldn't use it for emergency communications at all. You are relegated to some type of actual communications where you can send some kind of text, because you can send text with FT8. Well, that's not quite, well, very brief text. And sometimes you see somebody will say, thanks for the QSO. But the other part of it is that you can actually integrate that with the, let's see, let's go here. I bring JT Alert up again. JT Alert, you can actually do a text message window to a call sign and send a message. This actually goes over the internet if you and the other station are connected to the internet. But again, it wouldn't be any better than any other communication via the internet. It's just a way to you can see that I have some past contacts where we've talked or sent an email, essentially an email, not email, but a text message between our stations. Again, not one you would use for emergency communications.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Hey, I really appreciate you showing us this. Showed me what FT8 was all about. I appreciate it.
One other thing you can do is go onto the PSK Reporter webpage, and it'll actually show you. Typically, WSJTX is set up to report the spots or the sites that you see, the call signs, to the PSK Reporter webpage. You can go there and look and see how far out your signal is getting, as well as another thing you can do with it.
let's say that.
Although possibly WSPR is maybe a better mode to, if you're trying to test antennas or amplifier or something like that, but that this is kind of a side effect of it.
All right, so this is PSK Reporter. Interesting program. I was just on 40 meters, and if I look at I notice JT65. If I go to US, what is this? US. No,
it's not US, it's California.
it's
It's an island.
Okay, that's okay. So in the US, you see how many calls are using JT65. It's just not used anymore. If you go to FT8,
Need to put a call sign in there, Don.
so the station's using FT8 right now.
There you go.
So let's now. There's not everything is shows. If I go to CW, there won't be anything because nobody reports it. If they reported it, then we probably have a lot of them.
Don,
Yeah.
try putting in your call sign for the last half hour and see if anybody registered it.
Sure. So FTA.
Yeah, either that or I think you have to change that drop down to the left of it to say anyone to see everything that's out there.
All right. So there's stations. So this is my station here. And all of these other ones reported they saw me. If I go to the last 2 hours, I would have thought there's some other ones, but
The one on the islands down there.
oh yeah,
That's very cool.
You got to click go, Don.
So Jerry uses it to find out whether or not a particular state is transmitting. I forget how he does that because he was trying to get a particular state at a point. I don't know. There's probably other things you can do with this. I mean, I use it once in a while just to see if there's what kind of activity there is. But if you go to single sideband, let's see, single sideband, anyone, anyone. You see, there's no, some reason nobody and uses single sideband and reports to PSK Reporter. If you go to any, all modes, so now you can see, well, what modes are being used, and that's FT8, I think. Let's see. Oh, that's JSJT-X. Oh, that's FT8. That's all FT8. If it's sent by wonder if you can do other than not FT8.
Don, this is Steve.
Yeah.
I got a question. Is it more popular evenings or is it actually more popular during the daylight hours?
Oh, okay. So the morning, you get 20 meters up through about this time. If we look at 20 meters right now, it's starting to drop off. 40 meters starts probably mid-morning up until late in the evening, and 40 meters starts about now. I mean, 80 meters. If we go to 80 meters, let me see what 80 meters this looks like. 3.573 is 80 meters. And notice I didn't have to actually change the meters because my my transmitter sends that information to the program. Before I was able to do that, I was always getting the wrong call, the wrong band on my my records. All right, so up here we can see the 80 meter contacts, very few. We go to this is 40 meters. 73. And I think 73.5 or 7. So I moved the frequency over a little bit. Did I go the wrong way? I guess I did. And then 20 meters. Now, those are the only 3 bands that I can do. This is 20 meters. 70. Settings. Frequencies.
Hey, Don,
Yeah.
this is Ron. Just a comment on your setup. You can see that your waterfall is not linear all the way across the 3000 frequency range.
Yeah.
I'm picking up signals all the way down to 200 hertz above the base there. So you might want to check the settings on your signal link or whatever it is that you're using.
Well, one of the problems I find is that my receiver gets changed from upper sideband to other things. Right now it's upper sideband RTTY. Well, that might be okay for RTTY, but
No, because that band is completely littered with signals. And there we go. Whatever you changed.
All right, and so 14074 is the band that starts, but I find that there's a lot of signals over here on this side that I miss if I use that 74. So I go to 73, like 5. Now I've shifted things over, and that may be a little too much, but because there's these signals that start here and go all the way across 3K, see. Now I've gone too far, but 73, let's say 75. Now that's probably closer to where I would normally have it. Now it's for 20 meters and for 40 meters, it starts at the beginning of the band and then 73, say 75, because you want to get these low frequency ones too. Have you experimented with whether I don't know what your receiver does, Ron? Whether you do, mine has upper sideband and an upper sideband digital, and I don't know. I think I find the standard upper sideband works best.
Well, that's of course radio dependent. I use a flex, so it's entirely different. I found that generally there are not signals below the base, below 14074, or if they are, they're a fox hunt or some other type of modulation. So generally you're not going to find FT8 signals below that unless it's a special station of some sort.
So my set frequency is 7376. So that frequency is out here. So that's 5. This is 5 above that. If I go to just to see what that does.
And Don, there was a question, and actually it was kind of open to everybody. It says, do you folks like the faster FT4, or are there too many decode errors? Has anybody dealt with FT4? Because I know I personally haven't.
I'm sorry, what was that question?
Kev was asking about the faster FT4, or does anybody like it or used it, or there are too many decode errors for that protocol?
For FT8?
FT4.
Oh, I don't know. Essentially these two programs for FT8s are the only ones I've used.
Okay.
I can respond if you want, Don.
Yeah.
FT4 does not have more errors than FT8. It just doesn't go down quite as deep into the noise level. So you're not going to pick up stations quite as well overseas with FT4, but it's not an issue of error.
Thank you, Ron.
Actually, if you use FT8 and you have a good antenna like I have at my area here, the challenge I have is stations on top of each other. So the real challenge is trying to find a spot to transmit that's open, and also to not have someone else with a stronger signal come on top of the signal that you're trying to listen to. That's part of the real challenge here. When Don showed this program initially, he was moving his transmit frequency to the same frequency as that of the station he's trying to listen to. The real skill in using this program is to separate the two. If you look at that whole transmit frequency checkbox in the middle of the screen there, That allows you to pick your transmit frequency different from the receive frequency that you're trying to pick up. And you have to balance both of those so that neither one gets chomped on by other signals.
Yeah, I find if I get two signals that are essentially on top of each other, and I'm trying to contact one of them, I may actually not get the confirmation, and I will actually force a 73 and say that, you know, I made that contact even though I didn't get the initial 73. Now, there has been a few where they said, no, I didn't, it's not in my log, but for the most part, it does get in their log because they hear it, they hear me, and so they respond to me, but I can't hear them because this other station is on top of them. But they've transmitted it, and they know they've transmitted it, and they can hear me, so it's a good contact.
It's a lot like, in that sense, that you're really, it's so congested that you're trying to hear stations or transmit over other stations without interfering with each other.
Yeah, and one comment to kind of add on to what Ron was saying before about having a separate transmit and receive frequency, which, you know, could be called operating split, but you'll notice that it's actually decoding that entire range that it's showing up there for the waterfall, even though his transmit and receive are set where those little green and red kind of square brackets are on the waterfall. So yeah, you don't have to be right on top of the same frequency when you're replying to somebody. It can be separate, and it decodes that entire bandwidth. Which is something that's different than a lot of other digital protocols where you have to be right on the frequency that the person's on to be able to communicate with them. And something else I noticed, I've just started using FT8 recently. I've used some of the other digital modes, but you'll notice that it spends about the 15 seconds transmitting and then 15 seconds receiving, 15 seconds transmitting. So if you're sending CQs out and people stop responding to you, one thing you can do, there's a checkbox right under his green monitor button that says TX even/first. And if you check or uncheck it, it'll have you transmit on the other 15-second 15-second time span. So you have to keep in mind, you know, if I'm transmitting on the evens and Don is transmitting on the evens, we're not going to see each other, because we're both transmitting at the same time, even if we're on different frequencies. So by switching that, now I have, you know, roughly 50% of the FT8 operators on that band will now be able to see me, whereas they possibly couldn't before. So that's something you can kind of do once the contacts slow down, I've noticed.
And Don, this is Ron. One more suggestion for you. Your gain slider on the lower left side of the screen is flashing red. That means your AGC is coming in and it's going to drop low, weak signals in that case. So you want to turn the gain down because that's only going to improve your reception.
Oh, and one other thing I wanted to mention, Don mentioned way back near the beginning, you know, what do you have to have this work on your computer and your radio? You know, you have to have, there's kind of two things. One thing you have to have is some sort of audio connection between your radio and your computer, because obviously it's sending and receiving audio signals here. The other thing that you typically have is some sort of control over the things like the frequency your radio is on, what mode it's on, what band and stuff. They a lot of times call that CAT control. I'm not sure what it stands for, computer aided something probably. But so this software will use that. You know, when he went over to the little drop down there and changed it from 20 meters to 40 meters, you notice that big box that has the yellow numbers in it changed to a 40 meter frequency. So that's actually controlling his radio to do that. But if you've got an older radio that doesn't support that CAT control, or you don't have that ability, you can just tune in that frequency manually and set it to the proper mode and disable your filters and stuff, and it'll work just fine, because again, this FT8 software, when it does its transmission and its reception, it's essentially listening across that whole frequency band or transmitting on particular frequencies. It's not having to adjust the radio all the time. So don't think you're left out of this if you don't have, a fancy 7300 or flex radio or something like that. So that's still a possibility anyway for you.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I don't think it'll run like we've done some SSTV stuff where you can decode it on your cell phone, holding it in front of your Baofeng or whatever. I kind of doubt that this would work in that type of situation. You probably do need to have some sort of actual electrical connection for your audio as opposed to just an acoustical connection. But I don't know. I've never tried it that way. So if someone is in that scenario, they can maybe give it a shot and see what happens. And one other thing I ran into with my radio, I've got an older Kenwood radio, and while I can feed the audio into the back of the radio via a connector, for some reason when the radio is transmitting, it also activates the microphone on the radio. So every now and then, if you're actually listening to the reception of these signals in the background, you'll hear people talking or something like that. It's possibly because their radio is doing that same thing and they don't realize it. So I just unplug the microphone from the front of the radio, and then I don't have to worry about it. And the other possibility is you want to make sure, since it's using a sound card, that your Windows sounds are not being directed to that same sound card. Otherwise, every time when your computer dings or when you get an email or whatever, or you click on something and a website auto plays a video, that audio is going to be potentially transmitted by your radio as well, which is not a good thing.
All right, any other questions or comments for Don or Brian or Ron? Computer aided transceiver is what CAT stands for.
Let's see. Another thing you can do is click on this whole transmit frequency, and what that will do is you actually, whenever you go to receive, it won't change your transmit frequency.
I guess something else, as long as we've got Don and Ron on the line, do either of you know what in the very lower right corner that WD colon and then the number followed by M means?
I can respond if Don doesn't want to. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we hear you. Go ahead, Ron.
Okay. So when you click the enable transmit, it goes in an automatic mode and will cycle through these messages. You can actually set an interval timer in the settings of this, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever. It will just keep transmitting, trying to pick up a station. So it really buffers it. It tells you how much time you have left. So I think the default is 15 minutes or something. If you hit the enable transmit for a second, but move it off of a frequency that's in use, Don.
It's going to have to be on this.
Anyway, if you were to click enable transmit and you started transmitting, you'd see that pop up to whatever the default start is, 15 minutes or whatever that is.
Okay, I see mine's popping up to about 6 minutes. It looks like every time I receive something. So that's just basically, it's going to keep retrying, sending the same message for that long until that expires.
Yeah, and it will count down. So when it gets to 0, then it won't transmit anymore. It's so that someone doesn't just leave it on all the time and forget to turn it off. And just keep transmitting. And also notice that power slider right above that isn't all the way up. So that's another way to drop the power. So he may have his radio set for 100 watts, but presumably that would be putting out 90 or whatever. There's just another level control on this.
Okay, yeah, because at least, that was one of the arguments people had. Well, I can just sit there all day and my computer will make the contacts for me, when I go out to work or something. But it does, when you click that enable TX, it's transmitting that CQ, but then once a CQ actually occurs and people respond to him, it'll do that whole process in an automated fashion, but then that enable TX goes off.
Hey, look at that. Somebody responded to me.
And it wasn't mentioned earlier, but there used to be another setting, and it's probably still there, where it will respond automatically. So you just set it up, and if someone calls your call sign, it will answer automatically. That's another reason that timer is there. So you could realistically set it for 20 minutes, and it would just go off and answer anybody who called you on its own.
But then after a person answers you once, does that stop? Or that'll keep going for that whole time period? Because I know at one point they were talking about specifically trying to make it so it isn't something that just sits there making contacts automatically. At one point they actually changed the buttons on the bottom when that little log window comes up. There's an OK button and a cancel, I think. They would move those buttons around so you couldn't just have a macro or something that clicks in the same place every time.
All right, I'm having a trouble with this guy. If you see where the green is, it's on his transmitter, but just to the left of that, somebody else is on that frequency, close to it. And so because that's there, we haven't been able to complete the QSO. So what I would do is I would go over here and click on 73, and of course and then sometimes it will actually reject my 73 on that, but, send it back up. We're having difficulty completing that. I thought he told me what he was.
Well, that's the challenge. I mean, that's the fun part in my mind of using this, that with a good antenna, my entire waterfall is covered with signals. And I probably make 1 out of 10 connections because of that issue. Either someone comes on top of me and I can't see that, or somebody comes on top of the other station.
Yeah, this is Ed, WA7EM. So one of the things you do is you hop around. You, if the guy didn't hear you, then look for another spot and scoot over and see if he gets you next time. If he doesn't see you, scoot over again and maybe he'll get you, and maybe not.
And to Don's comment, I think what happens is if you scoot over to another frequency in the middle of a set of connections, transactions there, I don't think they follow you. So Don, if you're trying to get a 73, he can't hear you or you can't hear him, and you simply move to another transmit frequency, I don't think he's going to see you. He'll see you on the waterfall, but it won't automatically adjust to your new frequency.
You know, anything that contains your call as the receiving end shows up in the right window, so it will follow.
It shows up, but will it, if he's acknowledging the signal strength, will it do a 73 if he did the signal strength on a different frequency?
Yep, he'll do it. It's stuff in the right window is sort of frequency agnostic. As long as he's hearing you, he'll respond with the appropriate response.
Okay, great. We all learned something.
And there was a question that says, if you scoot over, how do you know if you're stepping on another?
You don't. And you can't see the time, the half of the time that you're transmitting. That doesn't show up in waterfalls. Guessing. That's all you can do is guess and try. I tend to go to a spot that I see that appears to be empty, but I know that I'm only seeing my receive side, not my transmit side. So it's a pure guess.
Yeah, I get signals. I mean, I complete exchanges where the other person is -24, and I can't see him on the waterfall at all.
Right.
It works.
Once in a while, you can get them that week. Typically not, but once in a while. Another comment: some people have written robots that, basically do a screen scrape of the FT8 data and act as if you're pushing buttons, and people hate the robots because that really is the case if somebody's not in the room. You know, they went off to watch TV or eat lunch or something and left their robot running, and that most people think that that's bad manners and ham radio.
Then the robot doesn't have a license.
Well, yeah, there's
an operator.
Yeah, I mean, somewhere in the FCC regs, it says you're supposed to be, controlling. There has to be a licensed guy controlling your emissions. But people do it.
Yep. All right. Any other questions or comments? I want to thank Don for presenting, and Ron and Brian with their knowledge and sharing as well, and Ed. Thanks for stepping in and helping answer questions and hopefully pique interest in FTA. So does anybody have anything else they'd like to bring up for the meeting this evening, or any other questions or comments? If not, we'll 20 minutes of your evening.
I would just like to mention one thing. Did everybody hear about Jack Chiacha?
Oh, what happened?
He resigned as the Aries. He's moving to New Hampshire in 1 month. And all of this I heard about on the BARC meeting last night. I thought somebody would have already known. I didn't hear it. So
amazing, yeah.
Things are changing.
Yes, things are. Well, thank you for that, Terry. Yeah, I didn't hear that, so thanks for the information.
Anybody know what Ordinal 4848 is for this WebEx?
Probably a bad DLL. Are you trying to close out of WebEx? Or is that what's happening when you close out of it?
I don't know. It's atmanager.exe. Ordinal not found.
I was looking for a DLL I can't find. More likely part of a driver. Is this on your other computer?
It's on my other computer.
I would try making sure all your drivers are updated for your audio drivers and video drivers.
Well, I don't actually use this computer on WebEx, so okay. The only reason I had it on there is because tonight.
Yeah, it's probably an outdated driver that's missing a DLL or something. Usually updating your drivers for video and audio fixes a lot of those errors. Anything else?
Good meeting. Thank you very much.
Thanks everyone for attending. I appreciate it. Be safe out there. June's meeting will still be up in the air as of right now. I've heard of nothing else opened yet. I'm in contact with 350 Terry Street here. Probably I got to call Dixon here in a week or two to see what their plans are as far as reopening. I have heard that some restaurants are going to be opening with spacing and things like that here in the next week. A lot of businesses are starting to go back to work with major lockdowns. My company's got more damn plexiglass around the building than I think a lot of stores have, and things like that. So, it's going to be a changing new world that we'll have to live in. But the good thing is, next couple of years, propagation will be back up. That time we'll probably want to work from home, and we can get some ham radio time in during the afternoons while we're working as well. So,
Hey, Chuck?
Yes, sir.
This is Ron. I just mentioned the thing actually works. I just made a confirmed contact with Romania, and I'd have an awfully tough time with my antennas and power doing it on SSB right now.
Oh, good.
Hey, Chuck, I got a question for you.
I got a possible answer, Jerry.
Well, it has to do basically with my hearing aids. I had trouble understanding quite a few of the comments tonight, but I get good audio from you.
Okay.
I get good audio from Ron. Don kind of sounds like he's talking in a barrel, but You know, I guess my question is, how do I sound?
You got a little bit of a watery echo behind you. But other than
Okay.
that, you're very readable.
Okay.
Now, are you?
I would like to know the model and wherefore and what all about your headphone microphone setup. What are you using?
I'm using a cheap old, I believe it's a Microsoft USB headset.
USB by Microsoft.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. It's a Jabra. It's a Jabra 550.
Java 550.
Jabra. Juliet, Alpha, Bravo, Romeo, Alpha.
Jabra.
Yeah, I think it's called a 550.
I will definitely look that up.
And it's USB and it's over the ear, so.
That's what I'm thinking. I got to find the proper headset that covers my hearing aids. And I know in order to adjust the volume on my computer and my hearing aids, I have to make sure that the upstairs door is closed, because when I turn the volume up on my hearing aid, I can hear my wife's TV.
Well, a question for you, Jerry. Are your hearing aids Bluetooth capable?
Yes.
Have you tried syncing your Bluetooth up to the computer and listening to the audio that way, so you have no headset and it's all right there in your ear?
I have not done that. I will try that.
You should be able to sync, pair up your Bluetooth hearing aids to your computer, use that as your audio incoming for these calls, and that way you don't need a headset at all. And then you can use the microphone that's built into your computer for going out, and that might give you some better quality and sounding and hearing of the presentations.
It may depend on the model of hearing aid you're using. So that it depends on the model of hearing aid you utilize. It may or may not work with a computer. It may only work with like a phone. So you may want to look at it, talk to your audiologist about that.
Yeah, it's something I haven't tried yet. I do use the hearing aids. They're Bluetooth with a streamer. A streamer that connects to my cell phone.
Okay.
So
that may allow you to connect to your computer then.
Yep.
Yeah. Thank you. I just wanted to get a kind of an idea of what to look for when I go out searching for a headset. I'm not really running to go out to the stores yet. Maybe I'll order something over the internet.
That your audiologist will probably try to sell you a higher end Bluetooth headset.
Actually, I can't use my audiologist anymore because I qualify for the VA.
Okay. Well, they'll definitely try to sell you something more expensive.
I think to my computer microphone. Is that any better?
Somebody was talking, but we can't understand you.
I to my webcam microphone because the computer.
Yeah, I can't get that out at all.
Yeah, we can't hear you at all, Don.
That's worse.
And Dan looks like he's got a nice wireless headset there he's wearing.
Yeah, these are noise canceling, which is really nice. So you just zones out everything. I don't even hear the phone ring half the time when they're on. So
what kind of headset you got?
I purchased them from Amazon via the Longmont radio link, the LARC link.
Thank you for supporting Smiles. We appreciate it, Dan.
Jerry, I don't remember, but I'd be happy to send you an email. I'll look it up and I could send you an email with that information.
I appreciate that. Thank you. It looks like this might even be better. But
I do cover my ears entirely, so that might work out for you.
I was just wanting to make sure that my audio was coming through. I know Mark's not on the call right now, but I could not understand the word he said. I really had to concentrate pretty good on Don, but you come through loud and clear, and this fellow here just now came in loud and clear. So there's a lot of differences, and just wanted to make sure mine was as good as it could be.
Yeah, I mean, all you can really do is try to improve yours coming in because, you know, everybody's got something different, so they're all going to sound a little different. So.
Yeah. And I know your camera. If you sit any lower in your chair, Chuck, I'm not even going to see you anymore.
Well, because that's built into my laptop, so I have to bring the screen down to make it work because I had to switch from my other computer. So I'm actually on my work computer, so I'm doing this over my work computer. So.
Okay. Well, that was what I had. Thank you much, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Anybody got anything
My
else?
webcam microphone is better, huh?
Much better.
Okay. That's what I thought.
All right. Anything else?
Good night.
Well, thanks, everyone. Good night, and keep your eye on the emails and the website for any changes and upcoming events. As always, be safe.
Be safe, everybody.
And remember the net tomorrow night as well, 8 o'clock. Keep Jerry busy.
My QST magazine came in today. This is the first time in a long time it came in before the digital edition.
Really?
My hard copy's here.
Good. Well, they probably still working on the digital edition because nobody can get in the office to record it. And everybody should be proud of me. As of today, I am now a member of ARL. I signed up.
All right, so, life membership, right?
No. We're lower a year right now. We'll see what happens.
They lowered the price for anybody over 75.
Yeah, well, I'm not quite there yet, Jerry.
And I am, but I still can't afford it.
I got to pay for a vacation in July. I'm going to Florida, so.
All right, take care, everybody.
Right, thanks, everybody. Bye.
Question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, this is K0ZNC. I've been watching the whole evening.
Yes, sir.
And I have as yet to find how to put my name in and call sign.
When you first log on, you should have got that option to do that.
No, it went right directly to the meeting. I mean, nothing in between.
Do you have a WebEx account already?
No.
You don't? Huh. That's interesting. Yeah, because it looks like it puts you as BAT PAV 23.
Yeah, right. I saw that on the list. You probably don't have my video right now, do you?
No, sir. I do not.
Hang on. Let me see if I can get it. Did it show up?
Hang on. Let me get back on my... It did. It showed up.
It's very interesting. Thanks, Don. Appreciate that. Jerry, I think I've got VA hearing aids like you do. And I'm going to have to try that Bluetooth linkage into the computer also. Mine will link to the TV Bluetooth arrangement that I've got. But anyway, yeah, Chip, when I clicked on the link that was in the splatter, it went right directly to the meeting. I didn't have to do anything.
I guess the question is, do you have something else? Is that part of your email, BATPAV 23, or what is that associated with?
I'm visually impaired, and that P23 is the company that services the computers for the VA.
Okay.
And they're actually, they set it up for me. So I've got the Zoom text and the whole thing through them.
Okay. It's possible they have something set up on the computer to auto populate that information for a program like WebEx, especially if you're visually impaired. That way you don't have to sit there and type it. I would maybe give them if you get a chance to talk to them and say, hey, I'm doing these WebEx calls. Is there a way to change that? Because it should pop up and ask you that information when you first get on. And if it's going straight in,
sure
it means auto-populate it.
It was sure nice just to click on it and get there. So
it is.
Maybe if I can't do that, maybe the only solution is for me to just butt in and say, hey, that BT guy is me.
That's fine. And just, we would just ask for call signs. That's all. So we can document that you joined the meeting. That's all. But
Sure.
yeah. All right. Cool.
Okay. Well, hey, thanks a bunch. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you. Everybody have a great evening.